G'day everyone. Hope you're doing really well. Welcome back to this exciting episode on Planet Coaster 2 and some more advanced techniques. We're up in the treetops today and we've got this lovely suspension bridge between the two trees, and the guests happen to be walking across what appears to be an invisible path. I was kind of surprised myself on this one, getting it to work, because it was quite challenging, and I was in two minds about sharing it because it may or may not work for you, but I thought, hey, you'd rather know that you can do this and at least give it a go yourselves. So let's have a look at the camera view from the first person and we'll go from there. Well, earlier this year we visited Tasmania, and I got amongst the giant mountain ash trees, I think they are, down there, and they're some of the biggest trees in the world. And to be able to create that sort of setting here in Planet Coaster is really cool. And I think it's really important for immersiveness to be able to have a path that sort of matches that vibe. And this sort of transparency gives us a lot of options to sort of change it up. If you recall a normal pathway, which we've got here, it's very bulky and large concrete, and it doesn't really suit the setting. So I would hope that Frontier could introduce an invisible path that we can just use out of the box, because it would be a lot easier than the method I'm about to show you. And if I could ask Frontier for two things, it would be give us better tolerance when it's paths crossing over paths, because that is just so hard at the moment and you just really can't get that nice vibe. But to be able to create something like this that sort of looks and feels a bit like some sort of movie scene you might be familiar with, it just gives us another level of creativity, and I think that's what we're all hungry for when it comes to these types of features that we'd love to see in the game. But that said, let's have a look at how we did this and give it a go yourselves. But as I said, it comes with a number of caveats, which I'll go through. Right, so here's our invisible path, and when I said there were some caveats, the first one is these stumps, because we're using the nature path and a very specific technique for getting it in the air and then removing the terrain. Normally the terrain is locked to this, and the problem with it is that once you create and place this path in this method, you cannot move it, and you've got very limited options in being able to attach other pieces of the pathway to it. But that said, if you plan ahead and you know what your layout's going to be, like I did with these particular trees and spaces, you can certainly achieve this. Unfortunately, the stumps are quite small, so you can effectively hide them, and I think in this sort of suspended fashion, I'm pretty sure in a lot of cases you can incorporate that into your design or hide it completely. So there are a few options here. Hopefully there's not a hot fix or something later that prevents us doing this, but I'll get into exactly how we lift up these paths now. Okay guys, here's the method, and it's taken me quite a while to figure this out. So if you do like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps me out with the growth of this channel, and I've been really appreciative of the support so far, so thank you. But here we go. We've got a regular path attached to either end of a natural path, and I used the shift key to sort of create a slope as I was laying this out, and it filled in the terrain as it does because it's a natural path. By some fluke, I found at one point I could get the terrain to disappear. I didn't really know how I did it, so I experimented in doing that. So if we take the terrain tool, and here's a piece of natural path we've laid down, and we just try to remove the terrain, you can see it's just no way of getting rid of it. I can try and rub it out all day, it would stay there. And you can see I had one over here before, and it's even created that mess that can't be gotten rid of unless I use the flatten to foundation tool. So there's something to do with the flatten foundation tool, and it's something to do with the path itself. There's some sort of memory there, and after a little while it goes away. So don't ask me how or why, but this is what works. So if we take the multi-select tool, confirm the selection, and then use move to get it up in the air, and immediately after doing that, and I mean immediately, we need to take the terrain tool and the push, and in one sweep get rid of it. Now there you go, now it works. So if I try that again with let's say this piece here, and we try to move it over here, okay, and we come back and we fiddle around with this piece, and we're trying something else, and then we come back to the terrain tool. Sometimes it might work, but most of the time it will not. It'll be stuck. So now it's stuck. So it's super important that you immediately use the terrain tool after you lift it. and then you've got some chance. Now, if your piece is too big, it's not going to work. So you have to sort of do this in pieces. In this example here, I've got the bridge, and I've added the scenery already, and I've created this sort of piece that went around the tree trunk, if you remember. So I can show you again if I move this up. Just use the advanced move tool and immediately come to my terrain and swipe it out. We got lucky and it worked. So that's how you do it, and you're going to need to undo and redo and try to get your layout. And so in our little forest here, I've basically pre-thought where do I want my invisible paths, and then I've come back and added my scenery. If you try and match to your scenery, it's going to be extremely difficult. But that's the method, and it does seem to consistently work. And I won't be surprised if a later update fixes the problem or makes it unavailable. But hey, let's lobby Frontier for that invisible path, because I think it's so flexible, and wouldn't it be cool if it was part of the game already. Yeah, so I really hope that helps you. And yeah, here's some more shots of the scenery with this type of approach. Okay, one last thing I'm sure you were thinking about was, does this work over pools? And it does. And so I've got a little lazy river here, and I'll take my little path piece and we'll move it here and rotate it and just get it above the waterline. But the problem is the clearance required is even worse than normal. So you're going to go up quite a way. And sometimes it sort of works and sometimes it doesn't. But if we come in here with the terrain tool again, and try to push it all in one sweep. Got lucky that time, but you do accidentally do that with a pool, and I haven't found a reliable way of not sort of doing that, so you got to come back and smooth it out. But yeah, there you go, it's kind of possible. And now we can build off our path. And I'll just show you, you can't build off that side because it's interacting with the invisible path somehow, but we should be able to come down here and build off like normal. So hopefully that's useful too. But again, this is the problem with Planet Coaster's pathing system. The clearance required between pools and pathing is a pain. If we don't use the natural path, I think this sort of works. Yeah, it does. You can get a lot lower. So it's about 1.5 times the distance because of that. I think that terrain sort of restriction that's in there. So something to be aware of. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do cool little low bridges over a pool like that? But yeah, as you know, you get close to it and it basically fills in the pool. So let's just quickly show you that. So yeah, I want a nice little bridge like you see in most parks, but yeah, the pool gets filled in. And I haven't found a way around that yet. So if anyone does, let me know in the comments. That'd be awesome. But yeah, hopefully we get a better clearance one day. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, there you have it. Invisible paths. Who knew you could do that? Hopefully it's inspired you to try and see what you might create. But yeah, I think Rudy said it best in his video. Planet Coaster 2 is a game full of potential, and if we could just get these things standardized, wouldn't that be awesome? So yeah, maybe lobby Frontier for it in the suggestion box. I don't know. We can only hope. I'm sure there's a lot of priorities for them to deal with right now, and I'm just thankful we've got such a beautiful looking game with incredible lighting and so much we can already do. So thanks for joining me, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.